From the studios of Farm Journal Broadcast.
Coming up on Ag Day, the ag economy isn't healed, but is it getting better? New information is out. The House debates the Farm Bill. In agribusiness, a dynamic cattle market.
In the very short term, sideways in pricing terms to working higher.
And spray a whole field or just spot spray. Weed management advice from Farm Journal College TV.
Ag Day, brought to you by the Chevy Silverado, the most dependable, longest-lasting full-size pickups on the road.
Good morning, I'm Clint Griffiths. Two new economic reports seem to indicate that financial erosion in farm country is slowing down, but producers in drought-stricken areas are still feeling the pinch. The Kansas City Federal Reserve District report and the Rural Main Street Index from Creighton University were released on Thursday. Starting with the RMI, for a fourth straight month, the overall index rose above growth neutral. The overall index rose to 56.3, up from 53.5 in April. It ranges from between 0 and 100, with 50 representing growth neutral. The RMI covers a 10-state region dependent on agriculture or energy and is based on responses from bankers in those rural communities. While not a full recovery, the bankers say the rural Main Street economy is trending upward with improving and positive economic growth. Now, some farmers say the rally at the beginning of the year changed attitudes around farm country.
We had a significant rally in both corn and beans. And it took a long time to build to the price levels that we see today, but it's really changed a lot of people's perspective. And I think, that's really a very good thing. There's a lot more optimism right now today than there was just 9 months ago.
The RMI showing average annual cash rents on farmland declined over the past year by 3% to $239 an acre. Lower rents could provide some relief on the expense side of the ledger. Meanwhile, the Kansas City Federal Reserve just posted its quarterly report on ag conditions in the Great Plains. The KC Fed economists say farm income and credit conditions continue to weaken in their district, but at a slower pace. The KC Fed says reduced farm income restricts cash flow. Subsequently, it contributes more to farm loan denials. Now, during the first quarter, the largest share of loan denials went to Oklahoma, which relies heavily on the wheat crop. While drought and sobering wheat prices is weighing on farms in the plains, Farmer Mac says the overall steady health of the farm economy is being supported by a slight uptick in commodity prices like corn and soybeans this past winter.
There was also a really good timing this year on commodity price movements. So this rally that we experienced in January, February, March came at a time when a lot of people had loan payments due. So the timing of these cash flows came in at a very opportune time for us. So that means the delinquency rates have been fairly low.
The KC Fed also found bankers are restructuring debt at a slower pace than in previous quarters. The Fed says a slower restructuring pace coupled with a slower pace of declining income could be a result of higher prices helping stabilize the farm economy. A struggling ag economy is a major driver behind the push for a new 2018 Farm Bill. The House of Representatives spending significant time on that legislation this week. Procedural votes and speeches began in the People's House Thursday. While the legislation is named the Farm Bill, some 80% of its cost goes to food programs like the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. Now, the Republicans seeking to make some major changes to SNAP in this bill, including adding work requirements for some recipients. The Democrats calling it shameful and targeting the poor.
First, we maintain nutritional assistance. There are no cuts. Second, this legislation will help the work-capable adults gain the skills so that they can move off the sidelines into one of the 6 million jobs that are currently open in America. And three, the work and education requirements only apply to work-capable adults, not seniors, not individuals with disabilities, not parents who have children under the age of 6, and not pregnant women.
On the ag side of the bill, a mix of support, targeted amendments, and staunch opposition found their way to the floor on Thursday.
The public is very clear. They want greater access to healthy, locally grown food. They want more of it grown organically, and they want to support local farmers and rural economies. But federal policy is way behind the times, and this legislation would make it much worse.
From concerns about Farm Bill intentions to worry about changes in the conservation programs to amendments that limit crop insurance subsidies to only those producers with an adjusted gross income of $500,000 or less.
I had offered numerous fiscally responsible reform amendments to improve the bill, all of which were rejected last night. For instance, why is a farm entity with an adjusted gross income of over $500,000 a year still receiving taxpayer subsidies under this bill?
The debate is stacking up to be dynamic.
The 2018 Farm Bill is a responsible and effective piece of legislation which maintains safety net programs and crop insurance for America's farmers while making investments in job training programs to lift those in need out of poverty.
The Sugar Support Program under major attack and finding major support from representatives in the sugar growing districts.
The sugar program in this country supports family farmers. The company that is formed is a co-op formed by local family-owned growers who come together, and all they ask for is a fair chance to compete, to grow their high-quality product and to not have to compete with state-subsidized foreign sugar that is dumped if we don't have a program that protects our local growers.
USDA weighing in, saying don't throw out the good for a little bad.
Well, we're not weighing in amendment by amendment. Our message is consistent, is that we need a farm bill. We ought not to let the perfect be the enemy of the good.
Is a major thaw coming in the icy trade waters between the U.S. and China, the two sides holding high-level discussions to end the week. Reports surfacing Thursday that the Chinese vice premier arrived in Washington seeking an agreement. That agreement may include cutting the trade deficit by $200 billion or more. Now, to do it, the reports say China may buy more, a lot more, U.S. farm goods. In exchange, they're asking the U.S. to hold off on sanctions and tariffs on Chinese goods. From China to NAFTA, U.S. Trade Representative Robert Lighthizer was also busy Thursday meeting with his Canadian counterpart to see if a new NAFTA deal is within reach. The U.S. and Canada reportedly held a high-level meeting to see if they can finish in a fairly rapid fashion. Paul Ryan saying he needed to be notified of intent to sign a new NAFTA by May 17th to give the Congress enough time to approve the deal this year. Now, Canadian officials were also expected to meet independently with their Mexican counterparts in Washington to examine progress. Let's check in now with Mike Hoffman. He has our first look at weather. Mike?
Good morning, Clinton. Kerry Baldwin over in eastern North Dakota has a co-pilot with him in the planter. That's his granddaughter, Florence. USDA says farmers in the state are running behind schedule with planting. 35% of corn acres and 12% of soybean acres have been planted in North Dakota, both behind the 5-year average. And taking a look at the wind speed forecast as we look at today, it's mainly in the Great Lakes into the northern plains as we start the day. It does get a little windier in the southwestern plains from Kansas into Texas as we head through the afternoon. Tomorrow morning then we'll start windy mainly in the plain states, especially the northern plains, and it will obviously get windy as the day goes on in those parts of the country. We'll have your forecast coming up in a few minutes, but first here are some hometown temps.
Plan for the unexpected with weather forecast updates. Local forecasts are delivered right to your cell phone each morning, making planning a little bit easier. Just text Weather 6 to 31313 to get started.
All right, up next in agribusiness, we'll look at the cattle market. With the grilling season upon us and strong exports, the demand picture gives us plenty to chew on, and later, making the decision to spot spray or spray a whole field for weed management. A pro tip from field agronomist Missy Bauer. In agribusiness, it was a mixed day during Thursday's trade. We get details now from the floor for the CNews Chicago.
Kind of seeing a little bit of pressure come into the market specifically for corn and beans, which I think is to be expected. For corn, we've been looking for a little bit more of a pullback against some of these key technical resistance level. For December new crop, 420, I think you invite a lot of producers to take some risk off the table on the inability to break out above there. Now, as far as the soybeans are concerned, a little bit different of a story. We've been making lower highs and lower lows, which has been rather bearish. And that's why we've seen the market break down below that $10 level for July. But coming into some support, 988 to 994, I think is a value opportunity. It was nice to see the cattle markets catch a little bit of a bid. I'm still a little bit cautiously optimistic. I'd like to see this rally carry over into Friday's session to help get some more momentum. This has been Oliver Slope with Blue Line Futures from the floor of the CME.
The start of the grilling season, strong exports, and growing supplies all making for a dynamic cattle market. Tyne Morgan has more from the Agribusiness Desk. Tyne?
Here now with Naomi Bloom of Stuart Peterson. Naomi, we keep talking about these growing cattle supplies. I mean, that's really taken over the market, yet, you know, there's this big discrepancy between the cash market and the price that we have on the board. That's kind of continued. Where do you think we go from here?
In the very short term, sideways in pricing terms to working higher. The futures price is at a substantial discount to the cash market, no doubt about it. And I think the traders and the spec traders are waiting to see if the cash market can stay at the levels it's at to confirm that the demand is as strong as what we're thinking it is. The cash market that we're hearing is strong. It's definitely higher, and the futures price needs to come up. And the one thing that is supportive to this marketplace too is that the funds are not really long in the marketplace. They had their long position of over 100,000 contracts, and now they're only like 13,000 contracts long. So if something gets friendly for that marketplace, they can come in and support prices higher. But in the short term, the next probably 2 to 3 weeks, it's going to be more of a sideways trade where we just kind of go back and forth until we get the confirmation of demand.
So looking after that 2 or 3 weeks, you know, we've seen these amazing exports for both pork and beef. I mean, hitting a new value record in March on beef exports. But looking at domestic demand, do we just need domestic demand to keep pace with last year, or do we need it to grow?
I would say keep pace, and growth doesn't hurt a darn thing at all. So as long as it can keep pace, and there's some that are starting to say, well, gas prices are going higher, but I don't think it's going to hit the consumer yet. The consumer has an appetite for beef, it has an appetite for protein, and I think that demand stays strong. And if it would just warm up, we can get those grills going, and we'll see some holiday demand with Memorial Weekend coming in and 4th of July. So that should support the marketplace as well.
All right, Naomi Bloom, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. We'll take a break, and then we'll have a check of weather here on Ag Day.
To discuss marketing strategies, call 800-334-9779 or visit stuartpeterson.com.
Welcome back to Ag Day. Our meteorologist Mike Hoffman looking at the drought monitor. And Mike, we continue to see that drought over in the Four Corners area. But boy, is it growing into southern Iowa, Missouri.
And that's a concern. We've been talking about that for a while. We do need some rain in that area. It has improved slightly, if you want to say that, parts of Texas and Oklahoma. Let's go back a month, and you can see how things were already pretty bad in Texas, western Oklahoma, southwestern Kansas, and a little bit on up into the Missouri area. But then you can see how things have gotten a little bit worse, just a little, on up into northern Missouri, southern Iowa. And right at the last second, watch how this extreme drought area kind of breaks up. There are obviously some spotty thunderstorms right there. In a few spots, but you're still in an extreme drought. I'm sure this will improve in the southeast as we go into next week because of all the rain you've had. And there's still more. This tropical storm, it was never a tropical storm, tropical-like system has a lot of moisture with it, and it's going farther north than we had originally thought. So we're going to see this move into the lower Great Lakes, areas that don't need the rain in any way, shape, or form. Southeast continues to get those mainly afternoon showers and thunderstorms. Couple of systems, northern plains into the northern Rockies with some areas of rain as well. Heading through tomorrow morning, then you can see how the these are all north of that drought area. It's been typical over the past several months where Wyoming into the Dakotas and Nebraska get rain, but you don't farther south. And for the most part, that's going to be the case again. As you can see, this front will come through dry in most areas till it gets east of the drought areas. Then we'll see some spotty showers and storms. Most of it's going to be farther north of the low pressure and the remnants of that tropical-like system into the central Great Lakes by the middle of this coming weekend. And take a look at precipitation estimate past 24 hours. Fair amount of it, mid-Atlantic down into Florida, back into the Tennessee, northeast Arkansas, southeastern Missouri area. Again, the drought area is in between everything right there. Southern Iowa, northern Missouri, unfortunately, but there's a lot of moisture off to the east and also west with that system coming out of the Rockies. Highs today pretty hot, southern plains, warm into the northern plains, and warm throughout the Ohio Valley, although you will have a lot of clouds. Lows tonight going to be lots of 50s and even 60s throughout the Corn Belt, muggy in the southeast, and that'll continue tomorrow. Turn a little bit chillier, though, behind those fronts in the northern Rockies, northwestern plains. There's the jet stream. You can see the little ripple there. That's that tropical-like system folds into the main flow. And then we see a cutoff in the southwest for a while there with the ridge building in to the Great Lakes by the latter parts of next week. That's a look across the country. Now let's take a look at some local forecasts. We'll head to Casper, Wyoming first of all. Partly sunny and cooler. Could be a thunderstorm in spots, high of 63. Evansville, Indiana, variably cloudy. A shower or thunderstorm possible, high of 78. And Albany, New York, a mixture of sunshine and clouds, a little cooler, high 67.
Do you spot spray weeds or take on the whole field? Ron's Missy Bauer helps us make that decision next on Farm Journal College TV. And later, scientists are making major advancements unlocking a plant biology. We'll look at the latest examples on Farm Sense. Once that field gets planted, weed management is the next challenge for farmers until the canopy closes. Missy Bauer shares her thoughts today on deciding whether to spot spray or treat the whole field.
You know, weed breakthrough could be that I just got to come out here and I've got a bad spot like I do here and I just need to spot spray.
Right.
Or do I actually got enough weeds coming scattered throughout the whole field that I've got some heavy spots, but actually the whole field needs treated?
Okay.
So that's part of that early season. We're coming out here to do that scouting. One of the first things we're looking for is, do I have any weed breaks? This field actually has its full rate of herbicide on it already. And so we definitely have a breakthrough issue here, whether it was a little bit of a mixing or agitation problem or something went wrong in this field.
Okay, and so the important thing here, though, is weeds will eat into our profits. Let's start there, I guess.
Exactly. So we need to evaluate, is there enough pressure out here to warrant the spray? Well, it's pretty easy when you look at this. Obviously, in this area, this needs to be resprayed.
Yeah.
But as you look out at the rest of the field, is there enough? And then that's just going to be a judgment call.
Okay.
One thing you want to keep in mind on the weeds themselves, if you've got, in this case, it's grass that's breaking through, if you've got a lot of really small grass, so less than an inch tall grass,
okay,
dig those up and see if it's actually starting to die, because a lot of herbicides get what they call a kind of a recharge after we get a little bit of rain.
Sure.
And can actually reach back basically and still kill the weed. So in this case, the root system's all dead here. The leaves are already starting to brown up. This more than likely is going to get taken out with the reach back. But we have a lot of other grass out here.
A little bit bigger.
That's a little bit bigger. When I dig it up, the roots are very white up here. The new roots are actually coming out. So this tells me it's going to keep on coming.
Okay.
So in this case, in this field, if we look over here, aside from the spot that we know is really bad, we still have a lot of scattered grass through here. And I believe we got enough scattered grass through here that we actually, do need to treat this whole field.
Okay, come back and hit it again.
Exactly. One of the best ways to look at the whole field quickly in small corn like this is to come out with an ATV, four-wheeler, something like that, and you could actually make passes up and down the field. That gives you a better appreciation.
Sure.
It's hard to tell. I mean, you can see that spot from the road, but beyond that, I don't know what I got out here with this scattered small grass, whether I got a spot spray or do the whole field.
Okay. Thanks, Missy. When we come back, the next wave of bio-advancements are coming. A Fresh Farm Sense next.
In the Country, sponsored by Kubota. Tractors, hay tools, utility vehicles, mowers, and more. Visit KubotaUSA.com today.
There's no more dire story in agriculture than the fight against citrus greening in Florida. Once the nation's largest citrus industry, the state has seen production fall by more than 70%. Millions of dollars in research money has been spent looking for a solution, and just last month a report came out saying a silver bullet cure is extremely unlikely. Well, today there's hope. USDA releasing the review of a genetically engineered virus that fights the greening disease. APHIS says it's modified to produce proteins from spinach, helping prevent greening, and it won't harm the environment or pose a threat to human health. Now, it seems like the plant-based biotech industry is poised for more of these major discoveries. Just in the last week, I've read about potential breakthroughs for cacao trees in their fight against fungal and plant diseases, currently killing up to a third of cocoa pods. New CRISPR technology is being used to knock out a gene that made the plants vulnerable, improving disease resistance. Or a new announcement by Beck's Hybrids and Benson Hill Biosystems to soon start selling seeds with a first-ever photosynthetic efficiency trait, allowing plants to better utilize sunlight, which they say will help increase yields and profitability. Now, this is just a couple of days worth of major news stories. As technology and understanding of the biological world improves, it's no doubt we'll see more of these types of announcements. America and the world's farm stakeholders will continue to push to solve crises like it did with the potato blight or boll weevil of the past. Scientists are poised to unlock and unleash the natural world's defenses in a way we've never seen or scarcely could imagine. Exciting times in agriculture, and that's all the time we have this morning. We're sure glad you tuned in, spent part of your day with us. From all of us here at AgDay, I'm Clinton Griffiths. Have a great day.